Welcome to another episode of my Motortone playthrough. Today we are not actually going to do anything in-game. I've been asked to give you guys some after-the-fact commentary on the Formula SCM event. So since I still had them on my computer, I decided to just load up the videos and I'm going to tell you guys about the event, how the races went and all of that while those are playing out here. I'll be skipping ahead a bit once we get to certain parts because not everything has been all that interesting. But let's get really into this whole thing. On the first one, I almost missed the start. Chat bug again where it doesn't scroll down all the way, and I missed the announcement that the race is about to start. So I just had to quickly hit the record button, and that's why we are basically starting on go. This is street track going around different areas of Gangyang and downtown, also the road north of it. And yeah, we're going to see how this one turned out. The Formula SCN, of course, being quite the tough car to drive, and honestly, and on that day, I was feeling a bit sick. Already spun out in one of the first corners. This is going well already. So I was definitely not at the top of my game. I felt a bit nauseous and had trouble just focusing. So you can see how this is not an amazing combination. I was really considering to maybe skip this one due to that, but in the end I thought as long as I'm not messing up anybody else's game, I would still like to participate. After all, we did all the preparation, all of that, so I kind of feel obliged. But yeah, even with my fully figured out setup, which has like 200% everything on front springs and I think even softer than regular on the back, it was a lot more stable than as per default, but it's still not amazing, and yeah, stuff like this can also happen. So basically everybody is fighting with their own car in addition to just trying to go around the track and avoid all kinds of things. So a lot of stuff can just happen here. Everything may look like it's going at a snail's pace in this race, but it's really, when you are driving this car, it's very tough. Also, it has no option for limited slip differential, and that's gonna screw me up multiple times here. And I think one of the big problems and the big things in this race is coming up right now. Going slightly too far to the right, making a few barrel rolls and ending up behind the tree. Also, one thing that I would I'll just pause this for a moment. The thing about resetting is that it's not only taking you to the nearest road, but also to the nearest lane of that road. So basically every time I go off to the left, I'm reset facing backwards, and only if I go off to the right side of the road, I'm going the way I'm supposed to go. And yeah, that's why some of the resets are quite unfortunate. I just try to spin around and not take up more space than I need to. And let's get back into the race. Another issue here is that I'm not downshifting, and once I do... oh no, this one is working out. I think that's happening in the second lap or something, but yeah, by downshifting I'm usually trying to get more stability, but it just snaps on me and has me spin around. I think that's happening in the second lap. The rest of this one isn't really all that exciting. There are a few people in front of me that I could maybe catch up to, but right now I'm just happy to hold my position and not have too many things happening here. But despite me doing a lot of testing on the tracks and practice runs, it's just not all working out too well. But you can see with the people in front of me, they are also having some issues. Also, I don't know what the tires are on this car, but they basically have zero grip. Just look at how much the front wheels are turning in and how little the car is following that direction. It's amazing with how tough this car can be. And yeah, smooth overtake there. Somebody went into the garage to get their car repaired. But yeah, huge understeer moment over there. You can see just how desperately I was trying to turn in. Let's just go back on that for a moment. Just look at the front wheels. And I've really only made the turn once I hit the curb. So second and final lap. I tried being careful here, but yeah, got off track, and that's gonna be the end of me holding that position. So I'm gonna try to leave space for the other guy, but yeah, they also missed the braking point, so that's me in the dirt again. And now coming up to one of the things where I just thought, yeah, really game, you had to spawn them in just so to form the perfect roadblock for me at the time that I could overtake one of them. The thing for me about these races is that even if I do a bit of practicing, you're just in it with a different mindset when you are really racing. So a lot of things happen for me in the races that I don't really encounter during testing. So while I felt quite comfortable with the car after the testing, in the race itself it was just a different story. But yeah, in the end we have another person behind us here, and up ahead there's really nobody for the next bit, so there's really a very slim chance to make up any more positions, but a good chance that I might lose one. Looking at the map there, maybe the person in front of me needed to reset there. But this one actually turned out pretty nice here, so I at least managed to get this set of corners right the second time around. I mean, honestly, this is quite a nice bit of track here. I think we are about to encounter my huge snap oversteer moment. Got a bit sideways, and maybe it's with the next turn. I remember it being somewhere around here. Oh, this is me sliding, and then I did the downshift, and that just completely ended me. Well, ended with me spinning around. This is nothing too bad right now, but the end of the race is still a few corners away, and I know how it's gonna go, and this had me quite annoyed. Bit of an issue with gutter once again. But the real problem is what we are going to run into a moment. I wasn't really going too fast. I was trying to brake. I somehow just slid across the track. Had to do a reset. Of course, spawning backwards because of me going off on the left side of the track. Cannot spin around because of the bloody gutter and ending up on the dirt again. Having to make it off there, and yeah. I also don't want to be an asshole just cutting right in front of anybody, so yeah, that's 2 positions gone. I'm still trying to get at least one of them back, but it's like this bit of windy road, then 2 more harsh turns, and that's gonna be it for the entire race. And I just couldn't make it past him. Try to go on to the inside to maybe get a bit of an advantage, but yeah, also just end up spinning out. And that's really just the end of everything. But yeah, race is over. I think I may have made it in there in last position in the end. Not amazing performance, but again, I was kind of sick, and the cars really, you need to be there fully in order for anything to work out. So let's go over to the second race, which is, I think, 3 laps around Anson Raceway, and it has a warm-up lap. So here we are supposed to go around the track for 1 lap at 70 kilometers per hour, and then just keep rolling over the start line, and once the first guy goes over that line, everybody can just fully accelerate and the race is officially going to begin. I'm explaining it this clearly because it didn't really work out too well. And yeah, well, we had a decent time just getting into this whole thing. There already was a bit of an issue for me with how this entire thing worked. So I tried to go with speed limiter, and I tried to take this corner at 70 kilometers per hour, and it just threw me into the wall. Taking back my position, and I think we are going to see some stuff about it in chat in a moment. Not that I took back my position, but that I ended up crashing to begin with. So this was already off to not the best start, especially with 3 laps. It's a bit of a, not really a long race, but slightly longer. There we go, Skiba did Charles Leclerc. I don't know who that is, but I can imagine what that's referencing. So yeah, my radiator is slightly short. I was considering to maybe try and go into the pit lane, but I just would have thrown that race at that point. And yeah, we're just going to do the rest of the run here, going around some of the corners a bit slower, thankfully. So at this point, pace car chassis is going off into the pit lane, and we are just supposed to stay with 70 kilometers per hour until we reach the starting line. And I was pretty much on the money there for the most time, trying to keep the distances as well. So now I'm just favoring the accelerator because I don't want to go with speed limiter. And for some reason they decided to stop. So that was a bit of a weird one. And yeah, this is gonna be it's gonna be about me trying to deal with the radiator. I think especially in the last lap I'm going to go a bit slower with everything. But apart from that, in the first lap there is really not too much happening. There were a few people who managed to snuck by me. Again, having huge understeer issues with the car just not wanting to turn in. But in the end, this is a stable race for the most part. Apart from me screwing up in the last lap, and that's gonna be very annoying. Just keeping positions, keeping a good pace through most of the race, and then completely throwing it near the end. So let's take a look. This should be the start of the last lap. This is maybe still start of a second one. Looks like second one in the chat, unless it's bugged again. I know it's officially called out, so second lap there. Having an announcement like that definitely helps with the chat bug, because you cannot lag back on the announcement. That's always gonna come through, which is nice. I've also seen that apparently we might get a fix to the chat bug soon enough. It's been in the game for way too long, honestly, and it's nice that they are going to finally address it. Communication is quite important, not only in the events, and therefore, yeah, it's really helping out the TWL server once that's gonna be no longer a problem. But in the end here, as things are going, I'm losing contact to the cars up in front. I'm still keeping reasonably away from the people behind me, so this could be my position for the entire race if everything worked out well. Going around to the last lap, and that was going a bit too far ahead. And yeah, even one lap later, the people up front are still fighting, having a much more interesting race than I am. And this is the problem. For once, the car actually decided to turn in. And at this point, I thought to myself, I'm really gaining an unfair advantage here. I have to get back on track. I have to be slower than what I could be, because this is really not fair towards the rest of the people in the event. And I also need to be careful not to turn around. And then I caught on the curbs a bit in a weird way and lost 3 positions. And this is just a few turns away from the end of the race. So yeah, this is how I ended up throwing this one. So 8th position. I don't know if I'm fully in last, but I'm definitely not having a good position here anymore. 5th place would have been more in the middle of the field, so now yeah, I'm kind of not really getting these things done in a good way. So now let's take a look at the last race, and this one is a sprint race starting all the way in the southeast region of Only Island with one of the intersections that only ends with a turnaround loop. And we are supposed to go all the way to the west, past the refinery and up the new bit of road, ending with another turnaround thing there, and that's just going to be the entire race. So more of a high-speed race, going to be quite interesting to see how this is going to turn out. And I should probably also go full screen again. Sorry about that. And since Chess didn't have any car to hunk us into the track from, we are now going to go by jumping. Landing on the 3rd lump, we are going to go off, and here it goes. Trying to not get spun out right away. And running into a bit of a problem. I don't know what was going on at that point with the other guy. I hope I didn't make it worse, but it already seemed like they were not really in control of what was happening at that point. So gotta be careful. Some of these corners are really hard to predict. Got spun out, spun myself out for the most part, and then went into the side of another player. So that's I think this is one of the defining things for the last race. I was doing decently well, but now I'll have to wait and hope for somebody else to make a bit of a mess up by not making any more myself. Also gotta be careful about the sand. If you end in deep sand, you can easily get stuck there. So that's a bit of a potential problem. Now we are in, I think, 7th place. I don't know if there's still like 1 or 2 other people behind me. and we're just going to follow them, trying to not mess up in any serious way, and just hoping for the best. Also, guy in front of me is just having a bit of a connection issue, it seems, like really just being a bit tough with how they were going back and forth, and yeah, I ended up sliding into them while they spun out. But hey, I made a position. I hope I didn't make it worse for the other player. And we're just gonna continue here. I think at this point I was properly paranoid about everything with this car, just feeling like it might end up killing me at any point, at any chance given. This one, for example. So I think some of it comes down to me not having the most experience with the car. I may also end up discussing a few more refined setups with other people, especially when it comes to the additional 5 degrees of turn angle I gave myself. Might not be the best idea. I may need to refine a few things, but in the end, what we have here right now, it's working out alright. Not amazingly well, but that's really the limitations of the car itself. What I really should have done here was hit the brakes. That would have maybe set me straight again. But this one didn't work out trying to power slide it. Who would have thought? At this point I think I made up a few positions. I think there's 4 people in front of me, so I'm in 5th now. There's also somebody else around me. I don't know exactly where because of how weird the map is going, but that definitely looks like they just went off into the dirt. Not gonna complain about that. And this one is always a tricky corner coming up here. The first one going onto this road after the intersection. So I'm taking this one very, very slow. So there's still 2 more people reasonably close to me up in front. Another one behind me. And they may be catching up to me, but from what I've seen, it seems like the player logos on the map are always slightly off from what the actual position is. So depending on which direction you're going, they may be a bit further up front, a bit further back, or to the left or right from what the entire thing is suggesting. But I think this might actually be the one where I'll just take this position home. I cannot jinx it anymore. The video is not gonna change just based on me saying this. I'm definitely still trying to catch up to the other guys, and somebody had a bit of an oopsie going into the sand and resetting. So that's another potential position for me. Fuel cars coming up, and yeah, also a new apparent road expansion, 4-lane. Oh yeah, and of course this wouldn't be a race driven by me if I wasn't messing up on the last bit. At least this was not serious, and despite me getting real slow for a moment, I was still able to take home the position, so overall this is the best race out of a lot. And what can I say apart from thanks to Chessbot on the TWL server to set up another fantastic event. again, despite me being a bit sick and some of the stuff happening, I'm still happy that I participated, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. And maybe the next event I'll actually do live commentary. I'll have to see about it. It also always depends on what kind of car I'm driving. If I had to drive that car and also try to say something, it wouldn't work out too well. I think live commentary might be more possible with some of the easier to handle vehicles, and believe it or not, but the almost 400 horsepower American muscle car is still a bit easier to handle than this light race car looking thing. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you guys next time, and till then, bye bye.